cited for making such a proposal. One includes the fact that there are no daycare centers in workplaces to enable breastfeeding mothers to take a breastfeeding break so that they can breastfeed their children exclusively for the first 6 months of their lives. Tonight, we'll delve into all of that. We'll explore how that affects productivity at the workplace and whether indeed breastfeeding mothers have been taking even the statutory 3 months in the first place. And then we'll take the comments from people who have, we'll watch people give us their comments and opinions about what they think about that. You can join us, text 1760. We're streaming live at stream.myjoyonline.com. You can post your comments also on facebook.com/multitvworld or facebook.com/multitvghana or facebook.com/joynews on TV. Our Twitter feed is also Joy News on TV. You can join us on all these platforms. Before I introduce my guests, let's take a watch at a video of women who have all experienced maternity leave at their workplaces and have something to say about it.
I did 3 months of maternity leave, but I added my annual leave, which was a month. So, I did 4 months. I personally felt that the 3 months wasn't really enough, especially when it was my first baby. So I did 4 months and it was okay. I think for every career-oriented lady, we should sometimes blend the two. The baby is important, but we'll still have to go and come.
Of course, I wish it could be longer. It would give more time for better, precious bonding.
I've never taken a maternity leave before. When I have to have children, I quit my job and I stay at home for at least a year after the child has grown a bit. Then I try looking for a job.
I have never taken a maternity leave, and it is because I have had my kids at a time that I couldn't easily access maternity leave. I wasn't working, and I was on my own, kind of. I wasn't employed by anybody. I was working for myself, so I didn't really go stay at home for 3 months or for 6 months to take care of my baby. It wasn't really the point. I could always get somebody to help out. I could go and come regulated.
Time I'm the mom and Nisa. Your mama 3 months. And I jumano see my leave. And tonight say my boss. I me kuno force no kokachom say baby Nisa. And your mama 1 month and come. No mama 1 month.
As a child grows, the child needs a lot more attention, and now I look back and I wish I had been able to spend more time. My kids are used to me being out of the home, and sometimes it's a bit emotional. You tell them you're going to work, and they just leave you to yourself. You wish they could have persisted, oh, I want to come along with you and that kind of, but because they have gotten used to me being away most of the time, they kind of have gotten used to it. So you tell them you're going, and they're okay, and they leave you. But I believe that sometimes it's just, cuddling to have your child cry for you, that kind of thing. I missed it.
Welcome back to PM Express, and my guest tonight I have Dr. Justice Yankson, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, in the studio with us. Later on, we'll get onto the phone lines to speak to Kwesi Danso Achampong, who is the Deputy Chairman of the National Labour Commission. We'll also be speaking to Honourable Beatrice Bernice Boateng on phone. She is a Member of Parliament at the Parliamentary Committee on Gender and Children, and we'll speak to a lady who experienced unfair dismissal at her workplace. Welcome, Dr. Yankson, to PM Express. This is a big deal for nursing mothers, for them to make enough time to breastfeed their children after having given birth. What influenced the communique in the first place? Then we can begin to talk about what's in there.
Okay, thank you. To begin with, let me just give you a bit of a background. The Ghana Medical Association over the weekend. Actually, it started on Tuesday last week up to Sunday yesterday. We had our annual general conference in Cape Coast, and the theme for the Congress itself was Under 5 Survival in Ghana, Challenges and the Way Forward. So basically, we had a lot of discussions on the issue of child survival, especially those under the age of 5 in Ghana, bearing in mind that Ghana wants to meet the Millennium Development Goals, the MDG 4, which basically borders a lot on kids, i.e. the child mortality rate in Ghana. So basically, that was the mainstay of our conference, and that is how come we had this bit of this issue of breastfeeding and all that coming in, because of the proven benefits of breastfeeding to the child in terms of good health.
Okay, so in the communique, you're recommending that the current 3 months of maternity leave be increased to 6 months. This might not sit down very well with a lot of employers who would need their workforce to return from whatever leave in order to invest themselves into productivity.
Yes, the issue is this. We are health professionals. The Ghana Medical Association is made up of medical doctors, and we see the kids day in, day out. We know the problems that they come with, especially when they come to the hospital with all kinds of infections and all that. And we also do research to find out how come the kids are always coming to the hospital with some of these problems. Now, for us, because we are in the health profession, our advocacy mostly is influenced by health issues. Now, for employers, I know they may bring up arguments that borders on economic issues. So basically, for us, we are doing our advocacy because of health reasons. We know the importance of the employers, the government, and organized labor, and various civil society groups. But for us, we deem it as a duty to bring this to the fore so that the issue is discussed, all angles are looked at, and then we have a very, very good resolution as to the way
But
forward.
are you going to push for changes in the law to accommodate 6 months maternity?
Yes,
is that the intention?
Yeah, we have started our advocacy. We are not lawmakers. The lawmakers are in Parliament. Now, we as a professional group will make the necessary advocacy, and at the end of the day, if we are able to come to a consensus as a nation, our wish is that it should be extended because of the good reasons that we have because of good health for the kids.
And the communique in part said, and I read the portion that said, the lack of nurseries in institutions of work to allow nursing mothers to breastfeed infants during their breastfeeding breaks was negatively impacting efforts at ensuring that all newborns are exclusively breastfed. I mean, I'll cut it off there. But is this realistic to have nurseries or nursing institutions or creches or daycare centers in our workplaces? Is this done elsewhere?
Yes, it's done elsewhere. And even parts of Ghana, there are places in Ghana where this is being done. I can give you examples. The issue is this. The WHO and Ghana's own under 5 child health policy, including that of the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, states clearly that children are supposed to have 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding. So if per our own policies, we are saying that people who give birth should ensure that their kids get 6 months exclusive breastfeeding, it is incumbent on us to ensure that that policy we are trying to achieve, because of the obvious good reasons that it comes along with, are achieved. And that is why we brought this issue of the nurseries in, because assuming for now, a mother who goes back to work after 3 months, as the system is as a noun. Let's assume that this mother started her leave or maternity leave on the first day of her delivery. Now she has 3 more months to go back to the office. Now look at the hustle and bustle in Accra, for instance, especially the big cities. If a mother lives, let's say, at the western end of Accra and has to come to the eastern end or say the central business district, probably she works at the ministries or something, how feasible is it for this mother to come to work, quickly dash home to feed the baby, come back and all that? Clearly, there are issues bordering on access to the baby. And that is why we are advocating that, especially in larger institutions, where you could have 10, 25 mothers, breastfeeding at
a time.
Yes. You could have a small place within the office setup.
And the cost must be borne by the employers?
Well, you see, these are things that we need to discuss. Employers, yes. Government, yes. And even the staff themselves. You see, most organizations have welfare policies, welfare, dues are paid and all that. If we really want to look at what benefits all of us, we could discuss the way forward as to how these things should be done and how they should be funded.
Okay, I'll get onto the phone line. I'm joined on the line now by Mary Krenzel, who is a nursing mother who was recently kicked from her workplace after returning from maternity leaves. Thanks for joining us, Mary. Hello. Yeah. So tell us about your ordeal. How old is your baby now?
My baby is 2 months, 2 weeks.
And how long now have you been out of work?
Since August, when I was supposed to deliver on September. That was first week in September.
Right. So, yeah. I'm listening, Mary.
So, when it started, my boss told me he doesn't want me to mix the work with my antenatal. So I have to find a private hospital and attend. So I've been closing from work. I was not considered. So I've been closing from work before I go to my hospital for a checkup. That was how it started. So when I was about to deliver, I sent a maternity letter, and the man told me, okay. So I asked him, am I going to be taken back after I've delivered? He said yes, and I gave the letter to him. So as I came home, I delayed the delivery. So he told me, okay, after delivery you can come. So my child was 2 months old when my maternity leave ended. I went to him and told him, oh, my maternity leave has ended. So if you add more a month or week or less, because my child is just 2 months. And he said no, but I should go home, he will call me back. I was expecting his call. Every week I've been calling, and he's like, stay in the house, I'll be calling you. And since then, he has not even bothered to call me.
Okay, so Mary, let me understand. We apologize to our viewers. Our telephone line is a bit bad. So Mary, if you can reposition yourself, maybe you get to a window or an outside space, you can get it clear. So now I need to understand from you, Mary, all the time that you were away, was your salary paid?
No, never.
So during your maternity leave, you didn't get salary?
Yes, I didn't.
Okay, so what arrangement does this workplace, are you able to name the work where you work and what type of work you do?
Yes, I'm a teacher.
Right.
at Yasantua International School at Kwashima.
Okay. So you are a qualified teacher, or you are somebody who works in a private school as a teacher?
In a private school as a teacher.
Okay. So were there specific rules which were made clear to you in relation to maternity when you started work?
No, I wasn't told anything about it.
So you didn't know about your company's maternity leave policy, and when you took your maternity leave, you were not paid?
No, when I took the letter to my boss, he told me that for here you have to be 1 year and over before you get pregnant. And I said, oh, I'm a married woman, so I can't determine when to get pregnant or when not to. So even if I told him if I will go home without a salary, but when I come, I will maintain my job, because in Accra it's not easy to get a job after delivery. So if I'll be taken back, even if you will not pay me for the 3 months be in the house, and I come back and you take me back, I'll be pleased with that. And he told me he has never done that before. He has been paying when they go on maternity leave. So he will pay me. That is what he told me. But since he's not giving me anything at all.
Right. So apart from complaining to this boss of yours, did you speak to anybody else? Did you speak to any human rights person? Did you speak to the ministry, or did you speak to anybody at all to try and get help?
No. I don't know anybody to go to. Yeah, I don't know anybody to attend to.
So
because this big people, you go with them. I thought it would be a long issue. That is why. But I still think, I thought from the beginning, I thought I should take him to the police station or something of that sort, so that even at least he will pay me 3 months off, so that I will look for another job around. But it's like I was thinking of the processes I will be going through. I don't have that money to be going.
And then you decided to give up as a result.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you feel now? Are you happy or you are sad?
I feel very, very bad.
You feel very cheated also, I guess.
Yes.
How long did you work with this school?
Okay.
Yasantua International School in Kwashima, you said.
December will be a year.
Right.
December will just be a year.
Okay. Right. So, Mary, thanks for speaking with us. We'll still hold you, keep you on the line, and then we'll get to speak to some labor experts to analyze your situation, and we'll go deeper into that now. Thanks very much, Mary.
Thank you, too.
Right. So, Doctor, this sounds very, very, very chilling, right? That she worked through to her last day, and during the time that she was supposed to go for antenatal, the office will not allow her to use working hours to attend to hospital to go for antenatal. So she had to resort to private hospital in order to get the care that she needs. That's very bad, right?
That's it. Because assuming this young lady didn't even have money in the first place to go to a private clinic, which is probably nearby, then what it means is that she is not even going to get the benefit of antenatal care.
She might die, her child might die.
And it's, you can imagine. Now, you see, there is one thing we need to make clear. Childbirth, pregnancy childbirth, are social and national responsibility. That
right, I beg your pardon, Doctor. I have a member of parliament, Beatrice Benis Boateng. She is a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Gender and Children. Thanks, Madam, for your time.
Thank you very much.
We're grateful. We just spoke to a young lady who had a very bitter experience in the private school. She works as a teacher. Now, prior to her delivery, she sent a notice to her employers that she's due for delivery and would like to take some time off to have the child and then get some leave. All through this, she was not paid, and she stayed home for 2 weeks and she stayed home for 2 months, and later when the 2 months had elapsed, she returned to request for an additional month. And she was virtually not giving her job back as well. Is this very familiar to you, I mean, in your work?
Yeah, thank you so much for calling. And let me say hi to all your viewers, your listeners. it sounded a bit remote, but I'm not surprised because just about last year, I spoke to a lady I taught in the training college. I wanted to know where she was working. And she also told me she was teaching in one of the private schools around East Legon. She got pregnant, she was due for childbirth, and she was told that she was going to live at home for more than 2 months. She was not coming back to the school. And she couldn't have also left her newborn baby at home. So the end result was that she lost her job. So I've heard something like this before, and it's very pathetic, such that at times some of the private institutions think of what they would get for themselves and not the welfare of the people who are helping them to get what they need. It's pathetic. But what else can we say? Private institutions, they need money for themselves. And however they get it, fine. The welfare of the people are not their concern.
Honorable, the law is clear about giving pregnant women time off. For example, pregnant women are entitled to interrupt their work for an hour each day to nurse their babies for up to 1 year. They shall not be assigned or employed for night work except with their consent. I mean, there are clear rules on this. What is making it difficult for the enforcement of these laws? And has this come to the attention of your committee? And what are you doing about it?
Thank you very much. I'm not too sure such a problem has arisen so far as our committee is concerned. Law enforcement. But the question is, as a country, how many laws, how many rules, how many regulations are enforced? At best, you can get some of the public institutions trying to do something that looks like enforcing some of these rules. But for the private ones, we cannot force them. And we are not even sure whether when they employ the people, they have contract documents signed with them for them to know all these. But you know, as a country, people feel so bad to report some of these things. So seriously in our committee for the past 4 years, we have not heard anything of this nature. Rather, individuals, I'm the only woman on that committee. And at times I sit down to think of why women should suffer during childbirth when we have our men who help us to take this seed. But when it comes to the suffering, it is only the women. And we have most of the institutions headed by men who should have sympathized with the women they impregnate, but they also seem not to care. And likewise, the women ourselves at times, we don't also seem to care. My dear, we all have a problem on hand to solve. At times I ask myself, we are supposed, newly born mothers are supposed to breastfeed their children exclusively for 6 months. Meanwhile, you have only 3 months maternity leave. After the 3 months, what happens? I have a daughter who is always forced to give exclusive breastfeeding for 3 months, and then the rest of the 3 months, she would have to resort to other feeding because she would have to go back to school. Failing to do that, she might lose her job. I think Ghana as a country, we fall short of enforcement of rules and regulations. It's a general canker for the whole country. How do we all come together to solve it? That is the problem for us.
Now, Honorable, what has come to our attention is also that usually it is the female bosses who are even harder at their female employees who, access maternity leave and take time off. Does this strike you as something that happens?
No, I have not. Such a thing has not specifically come to my attention. But just as I was speaking earlier on, I said in most of our institutions, males are the head. In a few areas where we have women, they might also do that. But it has not come to my notice, and I have also not experienced that. I would have gone in the friendly basis to talk to them, to remind them of their responsibility. Otherwise, it could only mean probably a woman who has not been in that position before who would want to do that. Otherwise, a woman who has also gone through this exercise of childbearing, I find it very difficult to understand why such a woman would behave that way. We need to shut our eyes and then find out some of these things that are happening around us.
So what would be your recommendation to the relevant authorities in enforcing the laws on maternity leave, to start with?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think that if we as a country, as a people, if we always think and believe that the children are our future, then we should help them to take up their positions very well in the society when we are gone or when we are incapacitated to work. If that is the understanding, then I think that wherever these laws must be talked to be enforced, I think we should all come together to do that. You have raised my, anxiety about this. I think that we have just a little time back in Parliament to do these things, to discuss some of our issues. But I think if I have any opportunity with any of the gender committees, the gender institutions and the like, I will raise this issue for us to begin thinking about that. And I think as we think about that and discuss that openly and all through the airways, I think people will be conscientized to begin to behave well than they are doing now.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Beatrice Boateng, who is a member of the Parliamentary Committee on Gender and Children. So, Doctor, this is very worrying. We were discussing the case of Mary, who was given time off anyway, but was not paid. She returned and she was kicked out. These form the core reasons why you are making these recommendations. Well, but what about the enforcement?
Well, these are part of the reasons. For the enforcement, as far as we are concerned, as a nation, it is about time we get our acts together and decide to do the very things that we've put in our books by way of laws. It is no good coming up with a law that you leave in the books to rot, you don't enforce it, and then the social policies, the social changes that the laws are supposed to bring about, we lose all those benefits. And that is one thing as a country we need to look at. I mean, from all the discussions that has been going on so far, it is clear that people are suffering under the very laws that were supposed to be protecting them. And it looks like they don't have any voice to speak for them. The young lady said she didn't even know anybody to go to. And these are real issues, because for us, like I said earlier, if the policy says 6 months exclusive breastfeeding, at one point we say you can have 3 months off. Even that 3 months, depending on where you find yourself, you may not be able to get it. Then comes in the bit about the breaks that you talked about for breastfeeding mothers to go out there and breastfeed their children. And that is the essence of the nurseries we were talking about, because if a mother cannot have that 1 hour access to the child as stipulated in our own laws, then we are not doing ourselves any service. The other thing is that if the mother brings the child to the office, the mother cannot sit on his or her desk, with the baby. There cannot be a court by the mother while she works. And that is the more reason why we are saying that to make our laws practical in terms of implementation, if we have nurseries around the work facilities, we are not talking about huge nurseries, no, something that could cater for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 kids, depending on where you find them. 1 or 2 cots if there is only one mother, so that at any given point, this mother can have that 1 hour access with the child, breastfeed the child, and go back to work. These are some of the reasons why we came up with this.
Right, we will get onto the phone lines again and speak to Kwesi Danso Achampong, who is Deputy Chairman of the National Labour Commission. Thanks for your time, sir.
I'm grateful to be on the program.
Right. We've just spoken to a young lady whose concerns we've discussed. We've spoken to a member of Parliament who is a member of the Committee for Gender and Children. She's spoken extensively about this. Now, this young lady took time off from her workplace, 2 months. Then she returned to work to request 1 additional month so that she can make more time for her child. She was not giving that extension, and she was not given back her job. She was not paid all the 2 months she was there. And this is obviously a violation of the law. What is the status of enforcement of the laws regarding maternity leaves?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I sincerely apologize for my inability to be with you. See, the law makes it clear as to how someone can enjoy maternity leave. First, the pregnancy has to be certified by a doctor that is recognized by wherever he's working. And once that certification is done, and you're getting closer to delivery, then you choose and when you want to go. Then your own leave may be added to the 12 weeks if you haven't already taken advantage of your leave. And therefore, if your pregnancy is not known to your employer, as stipulated by law, and out of the blue you come and pregnant and all that thing, then somebody may question as to what you want to do, because it said it should be certified by a medical officer, and therefore there should be record before your employer that your pregnancy has been certified, you've reached this stage, and you want to enjoy your maternity leave. Under that circumstance, no employer will deny you that, because it's mandatory. It uses the word shall, and therefore no employer will do that, because any report to National Labour Commission, an order will be made for you to respect the provisions of the law. And therefore, if he was never paid, then he has a grievance that he could report to the National Labour Commission. And that period that he wasn't paid, an order will be made for her to be paid.
So what you would advise her is to get in touch with your institution, lodge a formal complaint, and then you will take action. How long will it take for her to get action and justice if she reports?
The only thing is to file a complaint to the National Labour Commission. They will send a copy to the employer for the employer to react. And all these things are done within 2 weeks. And if the employer responds, then the commission will look at it as if there's a dispute for them to attempt giving a settlement on. And therefore, it doesn't take too long a time. It's not like the court where the processes are very lengthy. The National Labour Commission, time 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Right, and usually, how successful are you in your arbitration in this regard?
No, this may not go into arbitration.
Okay.
This is ordinary settlement under the labour law, where a petition has been made, response has been given. Then the commissioners will sit down and look at the merits of the matter and make a pronouncement, and that is all. And once it's made, the employer doesn't respect it. The law mandates the Labour Commission to go to the High Court to use its coercive power to compel the employer to do the right thing, insofar as the commission did a thing into law. So the provision is very efficacious, and I think that people who are aggrieved should take advantage.
Right. Mr. Kwesi Achampo, we'll get back to you. You hold there. We'll take a snappy break, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to PM Express. We're discussing tonight the challenges that women face in taking their maternity leave and the impact on productivity at the workplace. Now, this comes on the back of a communique that was released by the Ghana Medical Association recommending that the statutory 3 months be increased to 6 months. Already, as we heard from some women, many do not even get the 3 months. So 6 months enforcement might be a problem. We've spoken to the National Labour Commission, and Mary Crenshaw is still on the line, and we still have Kwesi Achampo, who is the Deputy Chair of the National Labour Commission, on the telephone. So I'll go back to Mary again. And Mary, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Good. I'm happy that you stayed on. We've been able to get the Deputy Director of the National Labour Commission, who is suggesting that your first bet is to lodge a complaint with the Labor Commission, which will then send a report to your school to make sure that your school will stick to all the laws, so that they will pay you what is due, and so you can have some justice. Are you happy about that? Well, we lost Mary, and we'll come back again to her when we are able to raise her on the line. So doctor, we were discussing the importance of this, one from the perspective of healthcare. Your concern is healthcare. Employers' concerns will be productivity at work. Where do we juggle these so that everybody is, everybody makes the relevant compromises so nobody loses?
Yes. Let me quickly make this statement. You see, childbirth, including pregnancy itself and then childbirth, it's a social and national responsibility that God in his own wisdom has given to women. The truth is that without childbirth, there will be no state sooner than later. Childbirth is what keeps the society going. At some point in time, the older will give way to the new. So if we put in measures that will protect people who naturally, per their genetic makeup, are supposed to deliver and care for babies, we are not doing ourselves a disservice. We are actually protecting the interest of the nation. We shouldn't look at it only in terms of money.
And we're not doing women a favor.
And the truth is that even for the employers, one thing that people sometimes forget or overlook is that after a mother has worked so hard, this mother will retire. And you will need to employ a new person. Most likely you may end up employing the very child that the mother has delivered. You get it?
Yeah.
So if you protect the child today, or you help the mother care for the child, you are basically investing even in your business. Don't look at it just on the short-term basis. And because government is the biggest employer in this country, government itself has a responsibility to ensure that mothers are treated fairly. When they go through deliveries, they are protected, and then they can go back to work. The truth is that if a child goes through 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding, there is enough evidence the world over, including the developed nations, to show that the child is a more healthier child than one who did not get breastfeeding. If a child begins to fall sick the more, the chances are the mother will not have the peace of mind to even work. The mother will still spend a lot of money. If it's a corporate organization that has some healthcare policy for the child and the mother, they will still spend a lot of money on this sick child. The truth is, if we talk about it and we look at it based on benefits without thinking only about the economic aspect of it, we will find a very, very good way for it.
Good way and a compromise. We get on the line again to speak with Mary Krensel, who is a nursing mother who has faced an unfair termination of her employment after returning from maternity leave. Mary, thanks for coming back on the line again.
Thank you very much.
I was saying that we spoke to the National Labour Commission and the Deputy Director has told us that you can make a complaint to the National Labour Commission and it will be taken on so that a notice will be served to your employer, so all that is due you will be paid. Are you in a position to do that?
Yes, please. I will do exactly that because I feel cheated.
Right. So when we started a discussion earlier, I asked if you made any complaint to anybody and you said no. Why didn't you?
Because, everything involves money. I never knew I have to go for free. I've stayed in the house for getting to 4 months. I've not been paid. All the money I have, I've been spending as a spending. So I don't have any money on me to be going that far. So I just got to know that I don't have to pay anything to lodge a complaint on that.
Right. So if I understand you correctly, you didn't know what the rules are, and you didn't know what procedures to follow in order to lodge a complaint.
Yeah.
Right. Let me put
Yes.
that to the Deputy Chairman of the National Labour Commission, Mr. Kwesi Danso-Achampo, who is still on the line. So, sir, you heard Mary. Mary didn't know what to do when she was in this situation. So tell me what perhaps education or advocacy programs the National Labour Commission is embarking on to make sure that everyone who is in the position to benefit from maternity leave can benefit, and where there are complaints, they can complain to you.
National Labour Commission has been in existence since the year 2005, and therefore, if someone doesn't know its existence, then they're not following the industrial relation situation in the country, because it's been in the news all the time, and but that's notwithstanding, I think that it's not too late for the person to take advantage of it, because it says it's about 4 months ago. So statute or limitation will not affect her, and therefore you should lodge a complaint and let the law take its course.
Right. So tell me, sir, how far does your powers go? What are you able to do in this circumstance? Are you able to take punitive action against any employers who violate the labor laws in relation to maternity leave?
No, the law makes it clear that the Labour Commission will make a definitive pronouncement on it. Anytime there's a dispute, the employer has not respected its side of the legal obligation on it. If a complaint is made, the Commission will investigate and then make a definitive pronouncement on it. And when it's proven and the employer is not abiding by, they can go to court and enforce it on the person.
Have you done that? Have you done that before?
Oh, the Labour Commission has enforced
since 2005?
Yes, many things.
So give us an idea the nature of enforcements you've been able to secure through the law courts.
No, the point is that the Commission makes an order that maybe an employee has been wrongly terminated. The Commission makes goes through the matter and then finds in favor of the employee. The Commission, if it doesn't reinstate the person, want the person to be compensated. So they calculate the quantum of compensation that has to be given to the person. If the employer doesn't appeal against the ruling of the National Labour Commission, because the decision is not final, it's subject to the legal review like any other administrative body. And therefore, if the body doesn't appeal against the judgment, then the Commission can go to the High Court and ask the High Court to use its coercive power to let the person do what they have ordered. And it's been done. And a lot of employers who have not even waited for the enforcement on them. Once the decision is made, they consult their lawyers and then they think that it's a fair deal, and then they abide by the ruling.
Right. Mr. Champo, before I let you off, I have in front of me a communique that was released by the Ghana Medical Association early this morning. And one of the recommendations that have been made in this communique is to call for an increase in the statutory 3 months leave to 6 months. Is this something that you would support?
As far as the medical importance of the announcement is concerned, I will not challenge the doctors because they know best how long if a woman had opportunity to breastfeed a child for the health of the child.
But there are other implications you would consider, right?
It doesn't sit well in industrial relations. And it doesn't sit well in the sense that it will definitely go against women employment. And that's why it's not a suggestion that even the trade union women who advocate for, because if you're going to have 6 months continuous maternity leave, then you add your 1 month leave in addition. It means that you are staying in the house for 7 solid months. and you are supposed to be fully paid. The labor law says if an employer holds an employee on temporary position for 6 months and beyond, that employee is supposed to be treated like a permanent worker. And therefore, if a woman had gone on maternity leave for 6 months and he's added her own leave 1 month, so he has 27 months, then immediately after the 6 months, the employer has 2 employees on the payroll. So as far as industrial relation is concerned, I don't think the workers themselves will advocate. And let me rush to say that when the 12 weeks was being discussed in Parliament, a suggestion came that they should increase it to a certain level. Later on, women parliamentarians in their own caucus thought that, hey, if you don't take care, this maternity leave will become so used against women employment. Because employment relations is not a benevolent thing.
Right. Mr. Champon, I beg your pardon. I'll take a quick break. We'll come back to you and then we'll wrap up. Please don't go away. Stay on the phone. This is PM Express. Welcome back to PM Express. Before we go to Mr. Kwesi Danso Champon, let me get a reaction from you. You heard him say that technically, I mean, it's good on medical grounds for women to take 6 months off, but I mean, realistically, in the job market, it's very difficult for them to take 6 months off plus a month of their own annual leave. That makes 7 months. The law says that if you employ somebody temporarily for 6 months, you must confirm their appointment as permanent. So by the time the female returns from maternity leave, 6 months or 7 months, there are two people in the same position. This makes sense, right?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if somebody is on leave and you engage somebody, it does not necessarily mean the next person or the original person should lose his position just because he's been away for 6 months or 7 months. Like I said, if the law says that a young mother or a mother should breastfeed for 6 months,
it must be so.
And our laws are made such that they also say 6 months. Whilst you are away breastfeeding, it should not be seen as you've deserted work. If you employ somebody, you know clearly that the person is coming in for a particular period. You can give him the job, make everything clear to the person. The other side of the coin is that, you see, we should not look at issues to do with women employment only as a basis for denying women the rights that they deserve. That is where I want to differ. Because, you see, like I said earlier, childbirth is something that is important to the society. At the end of the day, the men are also part of the situation. We impregnate the women. When the babies come, they are children. So if it means that an organization has to reorient itself such that it will accommodate a person who is serving society and the nation at large for a period of 6 months, I don't think this is too much to ask for.
Right, let's go back to Mr. Kwesi Danso Champong, if you're on the line, the Deputy Chairman of the National Labour Commission. You heard the rebuttal from Dr. Youngson of the Ghana Medical Association. Some will say that, you know, for you to suggest that it is impossible to have a 6 month maternity leave is short-sightedness.
No, I'm not saying it's impossible. What I'm saying is that in employer-employee relations, it will not stick. In the sense that, you see, the employer makes budgets and he's in business at least to make little income on his money. And therefore, we should not look at business as if it's a joke. It's a benevolent thing. That is how we've done, and all our state enterprises have collapsed. Business is business. That is where we need taxes to run the country. And therefore, we should be very careful when we are proposing some of these things. And I said earlier that if you even suggest this one to the trade union women leaders, by their experience, they will throw it away because they know that it will be a recipe for women losing their employment. And that is where they should look at. Because the employer is not obliged to take so many women. Because if it's 1, 2 women, fine. But if you have a place where you have majority of the women and these situations you are right. I mean, so, yes, doctors can say all these things from their medical point. But when you want to bring this one into employment relations, then you should also take good cognizance of the employer's rights and obligations.
Right.
If you look only one-sided of the situation, you lose the argument. When a woman after giving birth, they need to work to feed the children. So if they won't get the job, but they will produce the children and breastfeed them, at the end of the day, the woman may even lose her life. The child will not develop, So we need to balance the statement in such a way that it will be fair to the employer, it will be fair to the woman employee also. And so, medical
Thank you.
Should not rely only on their medical expertise and think that it will fit in industrial relations.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Kwesi Danso Champon, Deputy Chairman of the National Labour Commission. Dr. Youngson, your final words.
Yes, just to say this, the Ghana Medical Association took into cognizance all these issues as being raised by Mr. Champon. What we are saying is that we need all the stakeholders to think through this again because it's being done elsewhere and it's working. The fact that a woman is away for a couple of months just to do what society expects her to do does not mean that when she comes back, she should lose her job. We can put in measures that will protect women when it comes to childbirth and things to do with maternity leave. We can put in measures, especially in the government setup. We can even do affirmative action when it comes to employment. And if now, most of the graduates who are coming from our university are, let's say, roughly about 50-50, 45-50 in favor of men or women, depending on how you look at it. These are good human resources. We should not discriminate against women simply because they will give birth. And the truth is that these days, how many women give birth to 10, 20, 15, 12, or 9 children? Most people are now beginning to have smaller families. So if at some point a husband who is working, a wife who is working, they meet, they come up with a child, and society, together with employers and employees, will have to team up and protect the mother for that 6-month or 5-month period. I don't think it's too much to ask for.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Justice Youngson, Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Earlier, you heard Kwesi Danso Champon, who is also the Deputy Chairman of the National Labour Commission. We spoke with Mary Krenzel, who is a nursing mother who was dismissed unfairly, and also spoke to Member of Parliament, the Parliamentary Committee on Gender and Children. My name is Stephen Anstey. Thanks for making time with us on PM Express. Join us again tomorrow for another interesting edition. Constituency Watch follows right after. Good night.